They are recognized by the fact that people are drawn to them because of their wisdom and sanctity, in the same way that people were drawn to the Prophet Muhammad. May Allah bless him and grant him peace. And so real Muslim communities form round them. May Allah be pleased with them. Just as the first Muslim community formed round the Prophet Muhammad. The real Muslim community is simply the outward manifestation of what is inwardly in the heart of the wali. In the same way that the tyranny of the kafir state is the outward manifestation of the inward darkness of the tyrants who control it. The heart of the wali is inwardly light and peace, and this manifests outwardly in the form of the harmonious and human transactions which always characterize a real Muslim community. The awliya of Allah are not located in one place. As the ruh, that is, the spirit form, pervades the entire body, so they are spread throughout the world. The awliya are the ruh of the world. Just as the body rots once the ruh has left it, so the world will come to an end once there are no longer awliya living in it. No longer awliya living in it. The real Muslim communities which form around the awliya of Allah are subject to the same cycle of growth and decay as the first Muslim community of Medina al-Munawwara. They begin with one man, the wali. The community forms around him. The kafirun try to destroy the community, but fail because Allah gives victory to those who trust in him. Then the wali eventually dies. There follows a period of balance during which the community continues to hold to what is in the Quran and the Sunnah, and is led by rightly guided men, who were the close companions of the wali, and who received their knowledge of Allah by Allah through him. Then these companions die, and community is led by those who were the companions of the wali's companions. Then they die, and gradually, almost without anybody realizing it, the community begins to lose the dynamism and living vibrancy which its first members originally possessed. With the continued passage of time, the stage is reached where there is no longer a unified Muslim community. Its members may still follow much of what is in the Quran and the Sunnah, simply because that is what they have been born into. But many do this because it is what their fathers did, and not because they recognize Islam for what it really is. They no longer have what the original community which formed round the wali had. Everything in creation has its high point, and then thereafter there is a falling away. Basically a real Muslim community which lives with anything like the same zest for life, and with anything like the same awareness of the true nature of existence. As the first Muslim community of Medina al-Munawwara only lasts for 3 generations. Then it is all over. As quickly as one Muslim community dies, another is born somewhere else. The knowledge which the awliya possess, and which does not come from books, is transmitted from person to person. Once a wali has transmitted that knowledge to another wali, then that wali takes that knowledge wherever he or she goes. This way, this knowledge has always been kept alive, from time of the Prophet Muhammad up until now. May the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, and on all who follow in the dust of his footsteps. Not every wali has a Muslim community forming around him or her. Allah often hides who the awliya are as a protection for them. In those times during the alternating cycle of iman and kufr, when kufr is in the ascendancy, the awliya remain hidden. Their job is simply to keep their knowledge and wisdom alive, and to ensure that the chain of transmission remains unbroken. When the time arrives when iman is in the ascendancy, as it is now, then the awliya emerge into the open, and real Muslim communities form around them. And there is nothing the kafirun and the munafiqun can do to stop them, because Allah gives victory to the ones who trust in Allah. And the awliya and those who follow the awliya are the ones who really trust in Allah. They cannot do other than rest in Allah, because of the knowledge of Allah which Allah has given them. Allah said on the lips of the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, in a hadith Qudsi, that whoever makes war on a wali of Allah, Allah makes war on them. Naturally, there are ignorant people who claim to be walis when they are not. They deal in esoteric information and pseudo-wisdom, but not in real knowledge of Allah. They are usually recognizable because they are concerned with personal reputation, that is. They are more concerned about what other people think about them than what Allah knows about them. And because they usually charge money for the information which they pass on. And because outwardly they do not follow the existential life pattern of the Prophet Muhammad, even in very essential matters, such as eating halal food, and doing the prayer, and fasting Ramadan, and because inwardly, they do not have the light and wisdom, which only a wali of Allah is given by Allah. And because, in the final analysis, they do not have the idn to teach, that is, they do not have the permission of Allah to teach. One great wali in the past, Shaykh Ahmad ibn Ata'illah, said that as for the one who speaks with idn, his words are heard by creation, but as for the one who speaks without idn, he is no more than a dog barking. Idn is from Allah and His Messenger. May Allah bless him and grant him peace. The true awliya are recognizable by a number of signs. Outwardly they embody the way of Muhammad in every respect. Inwardly, they have a light which bathes and cleanses the hearts of those who sit with them. They have the best of manners, and are human and compassionate. They have great wisdom and knowledge, which they share without charging a fee. They fear only Allah. They love Allah. They have gnosis of Allah, which is not the same as possessing information about Allah. They themselves have been purified. Allah loves them, and when Allah loves them, then, as Allah said on the lips of the Prophet Muhammad, in a hadith Qudsi, He is the tongue with which they speak, and the hand with which they grasp, and the foot with which they walk. When you see them, it is as if you see instruments moved by divine decree. This is why and how they make things happen, and bring knowledge to life. The awliya are the complete and thesis-oft Freemasons. The Freemasons are the elite of the Kafirun. The awliya are the elite of the Mu'minin. The Freemasons only want power. The awliya only want Allah. The Freemasons exploit and tyrannize the people whom they control and manipulate. The awliya illuminate and liberate the people whom they serve. Both the Freemasons and the awliya are necessary to the creational process, which works by the dynamic interplay of opposites. You have to see which of the two opposites you belong to. If you are a kafir, then go and join the Freemasons, because they receive the best of their world, and the worst of the next world. If you are a mu'min, then go and join the awliya, because they receive the best of this world, and the best of the next world. The choice is yours right now. The life transaction of Islam is the best insurance in the world. It guarantees provision in this world, and the garden in the next world, for the one who embodies it with sincerity. The minimum that you have to do to ensure clothing, food, and shelter is 5 prayers a day. The minimum that you have to do to ensure the garden is to affirm that there is no God, only Allah, and that Muhammad is the messenger of Allah in the moment, and to do 5 prayers in the day, and to fast during the month of Ramadan in the year, and to pay the zakat tax once every year, and finally, if it is possible, to do the Hajj. That is the pilgrimage to Makkah, at least once in your lifetime. These 5 essential actions, the 5 pillars of Islam, as they are called, are not only all you need to do to reach the garden, but are also the basis of a balanced life on this earth, which inevitably leads to knowledge of Allah. They alone can transform the heart of whoever does them, and make it peaceful. Of course, the more that you embody of the way of Muhammad, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, the more you gain from it, since there is great wisdom in everything which the Prophet did. And this wisdom is only available for the people who do likewise. Ultimately, Allah is in the expectation of His slave. You will receive from Allah what you expect from Allah. Everyone gets what they want. It is related that there was a man who on the last day was told that he was for the fire. He replied, "Which is great, my wrong actions, or Allah's forgiveness?" Because he had this expectation of Allah, he went to the garden. The truth of the matter is that Allah could not show His mercy and forgiveness if no one had wrong actions. To the one who seeks knowledge of Allah, Right action and wrong action are the same, because he or she learns from both. If the one who trusts in Allah is wise, then he or she does not get stung in the same place or in the same way twice. For the one who desires to see the face of Allah, and that vision is possible both in this world and in the garden. Within the garden, in the next world, Allah is his or her only concern. The object in life for such a person is not simply to avoid the fire and reach the garden, but solely to see the face of Allah. The only way to reach the stage, when and where Allah will give you this vision, if He wishes it, is by following the way of Muhammad. The danger for the one who neither desires Allah, not longs for the garden, not dreads the fire, is that he or she will worship Islam instead of worshipping Allah. That is, he or she will mistake the means for the end. Whoever makes this mistake kills the living life transaction of Islam stone dead, and makes a religion out of it. That is a constricting web of do's and don'ts which has nothing to do with the way of Muhammad. This is what the Jews and the Christians have done to the teachings of their respective prophets, Moses and Jesus, on whom be peace. And unfortunately, some of the Muslims have also made a religion out of the teaching of the Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him. In fulfillment of his prophecy that some of the Muslims would follow the example of their predecessors, meaning the Jews and the Christians, just like a lizard making for its hole. If you wish to follow the way of Muhammad, then learn from those who have traveled it and who embody it, and not from those who have made a religion out of Islam. The ones who best know the way of Muhammad are the Awliya, because they best embody it. The one who desires knowledge should only take it from the one whose actions are the same as his or her words. So in reality, there are two choices. Firstly, you may choose between Iman and Kufr. If you choose Iman, then secondly, you may choose between either the living life transaction of Laslam which thrives around the Awliya, and which inevitably leads to knowledge of Allah, and to the garden, or the Jihad religion of Islam, which is followed by the people of book, knowledge and fixed morality, and which is like a prison. The choice is yours right now. It is clear that a mu'min insurance, that is, the living life transaction of Islam and rust in Allah, is accompanied by a vibrant awareness of the unseen and of what comes after death. Kafir insurance is the opposite of this. To the kafir, death is not simply a doorway which leads from one world to another world, and which accordingly is not in itself so a thing to be feared. To the kafir, death is the ultimate misfortune, which is accordingly to be insured against. This is because the kafir does not know what death is, or what lies on the other side of death, and even if he or she is told, the teller will not be believed. Life insurance also appears to be necessary to the kafir, because of his or her anxiety about provision and shelter in old age. In many ways, this anxiety is a well-grounded one in a fragmented society, because the young tend to abandon the old, and leave them to fend for themselves, often alone. This is the complete antithesis of the real Muslim community, where life insurance policies are completely unnecessary, because everyone looks after each other from birth to death. Another inevitable result of the fragmentation of kafir society, and especially a society which makes people want so many things, because they have been conditioned to want them in order to keep the consumer-producer process in business, is that there is a lot of what the kafirun call crime. It is almost inevitable that people who do not fear Allah and the Last Day, and who cannot get what they have been conditioned to want from the consumer-producer process by legal means, will turn to crime. As we have already seen, this criminal activity is not discouraged, or rather its true causes are not eliminated, because it provides many of the people who work for the legal system with a reason for living and a steady income. Crime also provides an added incentive to make people insure their property. As we have already seen, the insurers do not lose out, because they have fixed the insurance system so that they receive more in premiums, what they pay out in claims, and then these profits are further swelled by investing them and earning interest. Thus, we see that the kafir insurance system appears to be necessary, because it performs a costly service in a fragmented society where people do not trust each other. The average kafir is obliged to trust in the average insurance company, which is not a MILF entirely trustworthy, because however efficient it may be, in the final analysis, directors have the annual profits in mind more than the welfare of their customers. Anyone who has read the terms of insurance policies and studied the law which governs the interpretation of these terms will know that the policies are designed to cover as little possible misfortune as they can in practice, whilst appearing and purporting to do the opposite in theory. The kafir insurance system is another of the important subsystems in the kafir system, that is the Dajjal system. Whereas the kafir legal and medical systems make their money out of the actual misfortunes of people and misfortunes which have often been created by the way in which the system works at that. The kafir insurance system goes one step further and makes its money out of the fear people have for misfortunes which only might happen. The illusory need to insure which derives both from groundless anxiety and from the legal obligation to insure, and which arises out of the inevitable detrimental results of a society which is fragmenting, are both the children of ignorance as to how existence works, and of lack of trust, either in Allah or in other people, and in truth. The say two trusts are the same trust. This state of affairs is in direct contrast to the reality of the mu'min, whose only insurance is trust in Allah, a trust which is manifested by his or her following the guidance which Allah has sent, and which is contained in the Quran and the way of Muhammad. The Prophet Muhammad, may the blessings and peace of Allah be on him, said that if you really trusted in Allah, then you would live like the birds who go out in the morning with nothing, and who return to their nests in the evening with nothing, and who in the meantime have been fed. He also said that whoever does 5 prayers a day is guaranteed food, clothing, and shelter by Allah. The Prophet himself could not go to sleep at night if there was money in his simple room. Accordingly, he was what the Kafirun call bankrupt at the end of each of his days as a prophet, and yet there has never been anyone richer than he, nor will there ever be. The reality of provision is that Allah is the provider, and he remembers those who remember him, as is promised in the Quran. The reality of provision is that in the 5th month of pregnancy, the ruh, that is, the spirit form, is breathed into the fetus.